Buenas noches, tengan todos ustedes, ya siendo las 7:01 de la noche, estamos por inicio a este nuevo webinar de Mindset for Miners. Somos cerca de 30 participantes inicialmente, lo cual es bueno. El día de hoy estaremos presentando el caso de Kumtor Gold Mine, que es precisamente un caso muy interesante respecto a lo que puede animar a una empresa con muchos años, con una muy grande empresa. Durante muchos años ha implementado y estuvo trabajando con un sistema de gestión de flota y qué criterios pudo evaluar para una posterior implementación. Es un caso por demás interesante y bastante actual. Nuevamente, al igual que el resto de las noches, estamos trabajando ahora con la plataforma Zoom, en la cual permite de que ustedes puedan interactuar a través de una ventana para hacer preguntas. Y al igual que en los anteriores webinars, vamos a leerlas al final para que pueda ser respondida por los panelistas. Mi nombre es Richard Balboa, soy gerente regional de Mindsense y voy a ser su anfitrión el día de hoy. Voy a retomar ya el control de la pantalla para ir presentando a los panelistas y desarrollando ya el contenido del presente webinar. A ver, un momento. Omar, ¿tengo el control? Ya, sí, excelente. Los panelistas del día de hoy, bueno, quien habla ya me presenté, estará también Wilder Pando, quien es CEO de Mindsense, estará complementando la exposición de Pierre Duplessis, quien es Senior My Consultant de Kumtor Gold Mine. Este es el contenido que brindaremos el día de hoy en este webinar. Permítame, por favor, mientras recupero el control de la pantalla. Hay un pequeño delay. Bueno, son temas de conectividad. Ahora, últimamente, se nota que el consumo del ancho de banda a nivel nacional está bastante saturado. Entonces, posiblemente estemos experimentando algunos pequeños retrasos en la transición de los slides. Este es el contenido. En la primera parte voy a hacer, como todos los webinars, una pequeña introducción acerca de nosotros. En la segunda parte, a cargo de Wilder y de Pierre, sobre todo, estamos desarrollando el tema principal. Y la última parte, leeremos las preguntas que ustedes durante toda la exposición van a hacer y va a estar respondida tanto por Pierre como por Wilder. Comencemos hablando un poco más acerca de nosotros. Somos una empresa joven de tecnología, somos peruanos, ni siquiera nacimos en Lima, nacimos en Cajamarca y nacimos hace 7 años. Y al año de nuestro nacimiento, ya el 2014, nos convocó ya para implementar una mina, en este caso fue Hadley, y lo hicimos con tecnología muy baja, o sea, de sistemas de baja precisión, muy básica. Y poco a poco nos fueron retando nuestros propios clientes, de manera que fuimos creciendo no solamente orgánicamente, sino también en el avance del desarrollo de más tecnología. Y continuamente, con nuestro crecimiento, también nos fueron acompañando nuevos clientes que se fueron incorporando. Actualmente somos 140 personas aproximadamente en la empresa, de las cuales la tercera parte se dedica a la investigación y al desarrollo de nuevos productos. Nuestro crecimiento ha sido muy rápido. Estamos en 7 operaciones de los cuales en otras 2 operaciones administramos también los servicios de telecomunicaciones. Tenemos 2 operaciones en el extranjero, una en Argentina y otra en Kumtor, precisamente, en Kirguistán. Tenemos oficinas en Canadá y en Australia. Y tenemos, bueno, nuestra oficina principal se encuentra en Perú, pero también tenemos presencia comercial, tanto en Indonesia, en Sudáfrica, en Mongolia y también en Chile. Este crecimiento ha sido muy rápido y ha sido bastante interesante desde el punto de vista tecnológico y desde el punto de vista operacional también. Muchos de nuestros clientes nos han ido retando y eso ha sido ha ocasionado de que podamos avanzar y expandirnos rápidamente. Siguiente, Omar, por favor. Este crecimiento y el desarrollo de estas tecnologías permitieron precisamente de que el gobierno peruano nos reconociera el año pasado, Perú a través del Perú Service Summit del 2019, nos diera un reconocimiento en primer lugar a la asociatividad y un segundo lugar a la innovación de productos tecnológicos. Somos eminentemente mineros desarrollando tecnología. Creamos nuestra propia tecnología y estamos orgullosos de ellos. Que esto nos presenta una ventaja y nos permite atender las necesidades de nuestros clientes, adaptar nuestras soluciones a los diferentes retos que ellos van afrontando a lo largo de su desarrollo operacional. Esta propuesta nos ha permitido el crecimiento que hemos visto y nos ha permitido también vernos orgullosos en el mercado. Nos consideramos de que desplegar toda una gama de soluciones y de hecho en esta presentación se pueden ver todos los aspectos operacionales que abarcamos. Ya esto se viene una suite adicional, complementaria, pero lo que estamos sacando en el mercado es precisamente esto, ¿no? Tenemos sistema de gestión de salud de equipos llamado HealthSense, que a su vez tiene dos dispositivos principales. Uno que es el Tire Assessment System, que es un TPMS que mide temperatura y presión de llantas, sin que en una versión va a venir el GeForce y va a venir eventos pitch, rack and bias de severidad de ruta. Tiene otro componente que se llama Teeth Performance Systems, que es una cámara que a través de algoritmos de Machine Learning puede detectar las caídas, medir el desgaste y una siguiente generación va a medir también granulometría. Tenemos también nuestro sistema Control Sense en sistemas de baja y alta precisión, que es nuestro sistema de gestión de flota, previamente dicho, y que es precisamente parte del tema principal del día de hoy. Que a su vez también tiene una versión básica y simplificada para pequeñas operaciones y para canteras, ¿no? Que se llama Control Sense Essentials, con un poco menos de prestaciones. Tenemos una suite dedicada a la seguridad operacional, que comprende dos principales productos. Uno es un sistema de control de fatiga, que básicamente es un lector de signos faciales, y a través de un algoritmo también de Machine Learning puede identificar distracciones, bostezos, pestañeos, o hasta el uso del celular en la cabina de los operadores, ¿no? Y que también puede registrar estos eventos y generar estadísticas. Y también tenemos un sistema de detección de proximidad cuya versión básica se encuentra disponible ya en Control Sense, sin ningún aditamento especial, sin ningún tipo de instrumentación, solamente utilizando el GPS de los equipos y las telecomunicaciones, la red disponible. Y en una versión avanzada ya cuenta con radares y tecnología de Bluetooth. Y bueno, la última familia de productos es Report Sense, que es nuestra herramienta de inteligencia de negocios, que no solamente mantiene una suite de report para desktop, sino también para dispositivos móviles, tanto en Android como en iOS. Esto es lo que hemos desarrollado durante todo este tiempo. Estamos por lanzar al mercado otra suite de productos que bueno, en su momento los promocionaremos a través de nuestras redes sociales. Y que también vamos a estar promocionando también a través de medios. Bueno, esto es un poco hacia nosotros, lo hemos estado conversando semana tras semana, webinar tras webinar, y bueno, ya llegamos a la parte en la que precisamente vamos a exponer el caso de Kumtor. Va a estar Wilder complementando la exposición que era Pierre Duplessis. Bueno, good evening, Pierre. Thanks for sharing. Welcome back.
Good evening. Thank you for the honor to present in your webinar. I put something together to show how this has benefited our mine and our operations. My name is Pierre du Plessis. I'm a senior consultant, and I've been involved with fleet management systems for the last 30 years. So at Kumtor, which is an asset of Centerra Gold, it's a mine that is 4,000 meters above sea level, the operations. They mine gold predominantly for the Centerra mine company. Centerra also has assets in other places like Turkey, North America, Mongolia, etc., where Kumtor is the largest mine operation for the company. The company or the operations has a fleet of about 99 trucks, where predominantly we have 789s, and then we also have a few 785s. This fleet also operates with 15 excavators, where we use mostly levers, but we also have a bunch of Hitasys. The annual gold production of Kumtor is about 500,000 ounces per year. We move about 180 million tons of waste out of the pit. What you can see here is the winter picture of Kumtor, the open pit mine, and the two pictures on the right is the control center, the way we got it set up at the moment with MineSense. So what made us look at this? The safety is a big thing and became also more important for us because we had quite a lot of incidents with regards to safety, especially with equipment on equipment collisions. And when we started looking at this, we got some people in to quote us on fitting additional PDS systems onto equipment so that we can try and prevent or address this safety issue that we've been experiencing. Once we had them coming over, we realized fitting only shovels and dozers with the system will basically exceed the budget we had, and we started looking at additional ways of doing this. For instance, add-ons by the current vendor that we had, the FMS vendor. We also looked at other systems and see what they can offer, which would include PDS. And eventually we realized or learned about this company from Peru that offers this PDS system as a basic along with their fleet management system. And we started looking at these systems to see what we can do, and even if it's possible. Thinking about replacing systems, especially on a mine where we have a life of 7 years, is risky, to say the least. So we had to make sure we do all due diligence to ensure that we assess every aspect, assess every risk, and mitigate any risks that could potentially happen in order to do this. The first systems that we had here is system 1 and 2, which I won't call by name. They were not an option because one of those systems are the one we are replacing at the moment, which was at that moment running. And the other system was one that got a bad rap from one of our assets. And their support and robustness was not really good, and they didn't want to look at that system again. The third system that we looked at was quite comprehensive, but it was quite expensive, and adding PDS to it really makes it unaffordable, especially with only a 7-year mine life left. The system 4 that we looked at was already implemented at one of our assets. The company or that specific operation was not too happy with it, and apart from that, it's very OEM specific, and we could not install or deploy other equipment apart from that OEM specific ones if we want to integrate it. At the end of the day, we evaluate system 5 and looked at the feature that offered us, and that was MineSense. And it offered everything we required to solve our immediate safety problems and to do it with a reasonable return on investment. Now, because it's a risky situation, we cannot just help any company to deploy, and then if it doesn't work, it will be a big mistake, especially for a mine like us. We're quite a large operation. So we looked at the operation, the company, and looked at their footprint in the market and all the operations where they were operating at that stage. And these were it, if you just take Kumtor away, because at the stage, Kumtor was a potential customer. And we were quite happy that they've got enough support, and we decided to look past the sales presentations and the nice things that we hear from salespeople, and we want to investigate it ourselves by talking to customers. And we visited Constantia mine in Hatbay, and we were very happy with them as hosts. They invited us, they made us feel good, and they allowed us to stay and talk to anyone we wish to at the mine site. And our interviews with different people that are not related to MineSense was quite revealing. We were happy with what we heard. We went on truck rides. Some of us went on shovels, and we checked everything out that the system does, how it operates, how the controller operates, and decided, okay, this is definitely worthwhile going further. Although we did notice there are some minor things that will not suit our operations, and MineSense was quite happy to address those for us. Now, cost-wise, it is always very wise to do a long-term cost projection, because what you will find that some of these fleet management companies will provide you a free system or a very cheap system, but they will make sure that they recoup the losses through the years coming, which can be exponentially more than what the initial layout was. So we assessed everything and cumulatively looked at the support cost, the increase, where they also apply inflation rates and so forth, and plotted it down. Now, what you see here are not all the systems. What we show here is only the systems that we were going to look at that stage, and that was the current system that we had, the current system adding additional PDS units, what the cost will be and the support will be for that, the current system with an upgrade and so forth. So we did a few things. So that's those little bars that you see here. These two bars here are if we use the current system with different options. This one here is our current system, the old one, the green line. Now what you see here with the green line is our projected cost over the rest of the period, including some upgrades, if we don't do anything. In other words, we don't even add PDS to it. That would be the cost. The yellow line here that you see, that was our MineSense estimate, and with our ongoing support cost, including PDS. And what we noticed that if we look at those things, our return on investment with the system, with these two systems are about just 2.5 years. And then we also have PDS, where if we went with this existing system with PDS, it would have been the costs that you see up here. So it was a no-brainer for us to pass this as an assessment. Some of the other things that we were looking at was that we were important. You can see I put little stars here next to the ones that I will talk about. The rest of these items, feel free to read what you like and keep writing down. And if you have any questions on them, I will be happy to answer them at the end of this presentation. So obviously, optimization was quite important to us. We liked the way that MineSense does the optimization. It is significantly more advanced, where they look at all the things that the current system looks, plus an additional feature where they simulate millions of times all the different scenarios to achieve a cost optimization, where they looked at what will be more cost effective to assign. And the previous system where we have this n times 1 is when equipment is at the dump, for instance, and requires an assignment, they will request an assignment, and the optimization algorithm will then assess at that period how if that specific truck fits for the current situation. But the MineSense system does this completely different, where they actually look at truck optimization all the way. For instance, a truck that is loaded, that's on its way to the dump, will already, if it's known to him, have his or his next assignment, and if the simulation shows that's the best assignment for him, it's not necessarily done at the point where he requests that specific assignment. PDS is the other one that we definitely need. Was the whole reason why we are doing this exercise. We noticed customization was a bit of a problem. I'll just mention that. This work like your Apple phone. You basically get what you want. If you want something else, you have to request it. we didn't really matter because it introduces significantly more stability than people messing around with the system. And with the other system, we had to get experts anyway to do that job, which we don't have to do. Also, if we had to do something that was specifically requiring coding, they will rather say no, or the timeline to get that specific work done can be years. Where with MindSense, we get it within weeks. And if it's something that is useful for other clients, they don't even charge us. If it's something specific for us, then obviously there's a labor rate associated. Support, our ongoing cost was reasonable, as you saw on the previous slide, where our previous system was quite expensive. We have also language office, which is localized for a specific language. And we also had call centers. There's a local call center in Russian. We have a call center in English, and we have direct access to Peru with English-speaking people that they put on standby 24 hours a day for us. This one is also quite a good one for us, is the auditing, where we will know exactly what is, who changed anything on a system. They will log in with their own name every time they use it, and we will know who did what. Some pros and cons. So obviously, we're out to optimization, and then this is the one that I didn't mention before, is that the truck operators can drive without touching the screen. And I'll talk more about that on the next slide. The store and forward ability is second to none. It stores every 2 seconds everything on that truck, whether it can talk to the server or not. And whenever it has a connection, it will synchronize it. It's basically similar to what you see on your phone. When you use your phone on a plane and it's on flight mode and you answer the emails and you edit a few things there, maybe you make some notes, you can do whatever you like on that phone, and it's cached. And the moment you land and you turn off flight mode, all that is being synchronized to the server and you don't lose a thing. Everything just happens. And that's exactly how the field equipment in MindSense works. Localization is also really good for us. It works similar to what you'll see on any of these advanced systems. If you log into an Apple computer, and if you wanted Spanish, it's Spanish. If you wanted English, it's English. If you wanted Russian, it's Russian. But the way MindSense work is whoever logs in determines the localization. So for instance, if I'm at Kumtor, everybody that logs in will have a Russian tool to work with. When I log in, it's fully English. And it's also the same for all the field equipment, where a person, if an operator is more comfortable with English, if he logs in, he'll get an English field equipment screen. And if a Russian person log in, he gets Russian. And that is for any language. It's capable of doing any language around the globe. So whatever the mind needs. Obviously, proximity detection we talk about. Support we spoke about. Technology-wise, it's all the latest technology. We really liked it. It uses off-the-shelf operating systems, Android on the equipment, and also the latest equipment, really fast, good memory, good CPU, good stability and robustness. And obviously, we talked about the auditing on the previous slide. So when we did a bit of a comparison, this is what we had. Again, I'm not going to talk through all of these things. I will clarify, if you see a NK, that's because we don't know. The other thing is also, note that some of this information might be outdated. Some of these systems might have changed by now on what they offer and what they don't offer. We just don't know. This was relatively true at the time of assessment. And you can see here all the features we can see with the new system that we had. And blending is also very advanced. They've got a block modeling system that was very intriguing to us, that led to us installing HPGPS. Full planning integration, we don't do anything manually anymore. We've got a link to our planning system. We import blocks automatically. We don't even know when it happens. When the blocks are loaded, they just appear, and when we finish digging them out, they disappear. So it's fully automated. And this one is the one I wanted to talk about that I told you a little bit earlier. The cycle activities. MindSense offers 11 cycle activity. So one specific cycle from the time the truck leaves the shovel back to the point where he leaves the shovel again are 11 activities that are stored for us to analyze afterwards. And these ones include quite a few. And it's just to mention a few: empty travel, queuing, waiting to spot, spotting, spotted, loading, and then full travel. Arrive at the dump, then we have waiting there, we have backing, we have dumping, then we start with empty travel when it departs back and the cycle repeats itself. Now, there are 11 of those. Now, the best part of this is this full auto. The operator does not need to press a single button. He can focus on the road. And I think this probably also contributed to the fact that we now don't have any accidents anymore, because the operator can drive safely. He doesn't have to take his hands off the steering wheel all the time to press buttons. The other thing is, we always had this issue of radio congestion where people might forget to press a button and it messes up the cycle. And the operator will say, no, I did press my button. And the controller will tell, no, you did not press your button. And it just causes a lot of animosity and congestion on the radio, where nowadays we don't have those issues. And if we do have a little bit of a bad spot or an access point went down, the moment the truck has contact with Wi-Fi anymore, he synchronizes all those timestamps properly, because he's got a local clock to timestamp these things. We don't lose anything. In fact, with our previous system, whenever we had a network down, people had to write down all their loads and so forth, and they didn't know where to go. With the MindSense system, it assigns them as per the last assignment and keeps on doing it automatically. So to the truck driver, he doesn't even know the system is not talking. He just gets his assignments. And afterwards, when the network is fixed, all that information is synchronized. We don't have to do manually adding of loads or anything. It's all there. Really a fantastic system. And that is where this store and forward is linked in, is with this offline system. So this is the other ones. We do have all these. Everything that we have is integrated with the system on an OEM, and we do get all the OEM events and so forth, which I will show a little bit later. Our autonomous partner is ASI. So, and we have an agreement with them. We can fully integrate with them. So anyone that uses MindSense can automate any truck. It's not specific to a manufacturer, and it will integrate with MindSense, and MindSense will be able to assign those trucks autonomously. And obviously, I did talk a little bit about this localization. So when we looked at the function overview of what we can see and what is there at Constantia, this is what we looked at. However, what you see here is basically the Kumtor input map, and I just put a few of items in to show you. You can see we do have a lot of trucks. So basically, we have not had any downtime at the time that we did this assessment. The system just runs flawlessly, where previously our previous system had to be installed with a watchdog that reboot the screen all the time, and then it takes about 3 minutes sometimes to boot. Very inconvenient for the truck operators. And we're very happy that that is no longer the case. The system works well. We don't have any problem. We start it up in the morning when the new guy logs in. He works through the shift without any interruptions, and so for the next go and so forth. We did some patches, and that's about the only time we had to reboot the system. I looked at the system the other day, and it was up for 3 months without any restarts. And I had to restart it just to make sure I apply some security patches of the OS, which is not related to the MindSense system. This is the store and forward that I talked a little bit earlier about. We can import any type of DXF, and we can select between them. It's not just one. You can see those little ones there. Turn-by-turn navigation is something we've never had. Sometimes there are more than one best path, and the truck operators, or I won't say there's one best path, but more than one route. And the truck operators sometimes takes the wrong one. So, and it causes a lot of misroute errors and so forth. But with the MineSense system, this just cannot happen because the road are being highlighted for them on their field equipment, and they are being told when they have to do their left and right turning. And there's also a text-to-voice from the system that will tell them certain things. For instance, if there's a message or a status, it can be read to them. At this stage, when we assess this, we did look at task management and tracking, although we did not have that yet. We now have it, but at that stage we did not. Pit events, this is a really useful utility for us, and it's also integrated with the task assignment. If a truck operator says that he sees rocks in the road, he just presses the button, and we can see exactly where he reported it, and we can send a grader. But with the task management system, it's sent there automatically. So we also have other events, which is not yet VIMS type events. So for instance, if we get a brake overheat event or whatever the case is, the system will put a little tag down and we can see immediately where that event happened. So it's really useful for us to also assess if certain areas of the road are bad or needs maintenance, and to store them forward. So here is the indicators that we found very useful. It means that we don't need 100 screens that we have to select this one and then that one and then pop up that one and then put that one in the background so that we can look at other information. Everything is very intuitively designed and right in front of you. All we have is basically 3 screens, one really wide one for our routes, one for our maps, and one for our dashboards, and that's it, and everything is there. So here what we can see is that little red frame around the equipment. What it shows is that he's loading a material that does not have a great record. For us, there's a lot of them because we load predominantly waste. And if you can see, when they do have it, there's one that's ore. We have a great record for it. The reason they make it red is that some of the mines in Peru requires great records even for waste material to manage toxicity and to prevent water from being contaminated. This was a huge problem for us payload. We were loading blindly, but now the controller can see as the dipper goes on every single tons. And this is also shown to the equipment, as I'll show you a little bit later. This is another problem we used to have, an inventory control. What you can see, there's that little bar there that shows you how much material is left from that inventory that the equipment is loading at that point. Previously, we didn't have that. And what happens is that the equipment will keep on digging into the next blast or block, and we will not know that. So we cannot say when what was loaded and so forth. And if someone is not really on top of it to say, hey, you are now loading a new area, it just goes unseen. And it happened quite frequently, where nowadays it cannot happen because what happens is it turns red. And we know, okay, we better now look at this. You can see this one is a little bit overloaded. And obviously the foreman went there and said, no, it's still okay. The status of the equipment, so we can see whether it's ready, whether it's standby, it's color-coded. This little lock, we get them on shovels as well as trucks if required. What you can see here is our trucks doesn't have it because we are fully open. We don't run our trucks locked. But we do lock the shovels to dumps as a requirement from the planning department. The geography is not too stable at Kumtor, so we have to plan our dumps. As you also probably would have learned, we had a recent landslide, and that's the type of things we have to manage. So we do not unlock our shovels. We send certain material to certain dumps, and that's why you will see those ones are locked. What you can see here, which I will talk a little bit later when you do our payload, is we've got this little traffic light system almost that shows us how a truck is being loaded. Black means it's completely underloaded, but it also could mean that the VIN system on that truck is not calibrated. So that's something we do quite regularly is calibration. That's slightly underloaded, but I'll show you a little bit later. The dot traces, it's always there. You can turn it off, but it's automatically updated for the last 2 hours. Where with our previous system, we always had to go in, load the latest ones, and then redisplace them. Where this one is fully automated. And just some of the legends there, that shows us CAT 785 because it's blue, it's loaded, and it's ready. This one here shows us a CAT 789, which is ready, and it's empty because it doesn't have a load. So it's basically very easy to see what is the status is and whether the truck's loaded or not. This one is very important to us. This is the only HP GPS shovel we had at the point that I made this slide. At the moment, we have significantly more. What that shows us there is that this shovel needs to cut down. It's a little bit too high. So he needs to get cut and get the floor levels right. We're using the high precision a lot to maintain floor levels. And since we've implemented high precision, we need a lot less maintenance to prepare the floor for drilling. And we also have much more accurate numbers for our material that we dig, because we don't dig into the block below, and we don't dig into the blocks on the sides. With this, HP prevents us or guides the operator not to do that. And our priority utility. So MineSense is quite simple. There's 3 priorities, A, B, and C. So if you have an A priority, it's high. If you have a B priority, it's low. And then what we have also is the ability to provide a coverage. So if we put 110, for instance, we're requiring the system to overtruck it slightly. And if we don't want queuing, we can bring this number down, a 90 or so forth. And for instance, in congested areas or very small areas where we don't want it, we can bring this down to limit the amount of trucks going there. So, and it's fully adjustable and configurable for us. And obviously, we do have a lot of other things I'm not talking about. For instance, there's this thing becomes blue if it has no radio communications. But it's not necessarily just radio communications. Blue just means that it hasn't synchronized for the last 10 seconds and becomes sky blue. And then if everything becomes sky blue, we know we've got a network issue. And if we only have sky blue in certain areas, we know there's a dead spot in that area. So, and there's also for the manually reassignment, we don't like our operators or our controllers to manually assign. And if they are manually assigned, it produces a little red spot on top of the truck, which none of these has been assigned, but because you would have seen it. So we can immediately see if they are manually assigned. And if they take the wrong route, they turn orange. So, and a lot more. So I won't talk about all that, but there's a lot more functionality you can see. This is a field equipment. So what you can see is very intuitively designed. All of these icons that you see here, some of them on your phone, are indicators for the GPS quality and Wi-Fi quality, fuel levels, and so forth. That's settings. And if you click on them, you'll actually get more information and brightness control and so forth. And we also have the ability to send voice messages. Here, what you can see is the tons. It tells us how many tons is being loaded on it. Obviously, it's empty. And also the truck factor. So if it's been loaded at 100%, so we can see where it's been loaded. And this information is also on the shovel unit, so that when it guides them in loading the truck properly as well. And obviously our speed limits. And then this blue route that you can see here, I'll go through this. This blue route here is for the best path. It indicates that. I jumped the ship a bit there. So obviously the bubble here is indicator for proximity detection. So when a person enters that, or this truck enters into the beacon of another truck, or another truck enters into this one and they overlap, the bubble turns red for the operator, and it makes a really prominent alarm sounds and gets more frequently and more intense to indicate to the operator that he needs to be careful, to both of those operators. The rectangle is something we implemented at Kumtor, which allows us to manage follow distance, because we had a problem in the past where trucks will follow too closely. And with this, we can force them basically to follow at 50 meters. When they slow down a bit, it goes smaller for queuing purposes and so forth. And this has helped us immensely to maintain that follow distance. Localization I spoke about, you can see here, it's all Russian. This person is Russian logged in. And you can also see the pitch and roll of equipment. And that is logged every 2 seconds to analyze afterwards. Probably one of the best modules they have is this investigation utility, where everything is stored. You can look at things afterwards, if an accident happened, or if someone claims they took the right route but they did not. We can use this utility to show that whether they did or not, or whether they were assigned in that way through looking at these events. What's also nice about these events is that we can, if a message are being sent, this is animation. If we press play, there's movement, and you can see at what point the operator has sent a message to the controllers, and you can also see at what point the controllers sends a message back. So all that type of stuff is there. And in any events such as VIMS events, you can see at what point that event came in. Here you can see some interesting data. This is the VIMS dipper. And so you can see how the truck has been loaded until it reached its full time. And you can see that small little bump there. That's the final tons. So that was the last dipper tons, and this was the final tons. And then you drove full, dumped, empty, and it gets loaded again. And you can see the speeds here. Now we can select multiple things here. The interesting one to look at is also is gear, because we do have a problem where sometimes the operators refuses to pass the second gear, not being locked out by VIMS, but just feel unsafe and would not go to the next gear. So they travel about 16 kilometers an hour. And then we can look at it here. Payload management. Now, just to give you a bit of a background why I put the slide in here. This was a slide that has been given to us through a presentation during the sales phase. And they showed here what they've done for Constantia to improve their payload, which is a huge problem for us, or at that point was a huge problem for us, which I will show you afterwards. And this is something that got my attention. So what you see here is the cut 10-10-20 rule, and that is the loading histogram for that. At Hudbay, they managed to get this type of loading through using the system and the indicators of the system to load trucks exactly at this level, what you see there, which now basically gives you a 10-5-10, which is well within CAT specifications, but it provides significantly better payload management. What you see there was a 5% better loading, but it introduced 6 months after the implementation of this, a 6% increase for them in payload management. This is for us. So we looked at all the payload data over the last few months, and we noticed that we are losing almost 6 million tons because we are underloading significantly. This is different crews, and that's the global ones. And this is how we managed it. But you can see it's, whenever a truck is being kicked out by a shovel, it turns green if it's correctly loaded. And that means it's been loaded between, for us, I think it was 98 and 105%. Yellow means it's under that. And then we also have slightly overloaded. Now, 105 was still considered good for us, but if it goes above 105, it turns that orangey color. And if they are over 110, it turns red. So we know when they are overloading. And what's also nice is this green, green, yellow, green shows that this operator predominantly loads okay. Some of the operators you might see yellow, yellow, black, yellow, which means that they are completely underloading. And we can see it immediately, and then we can talk to this operator through the radio privately, or through messaging privately, and tell him, can you please ensure you fill the trucks better? Like, for instance, here it's a bit strange. The other thing that could also lead to wrong numbers is obviously VIMS calibration. Now, utilization of equipment is very important at the mine, as you know, because it's very expensive assets that we are working with. And what you see here is one of our dashboards. So before, we had significantly problems of maintaining production over lunch breaks and shift change. So as you can see here, this is the production, which is a little bit up and down, as you can see. And then we have a flat plateau where there's just no production over lunch. And then a bit of a flat plateau where there's no production over the second lunch. And then at shift change, we almost for more than an hour don't have any production. So we had to address that. And MindSense came to the rescue. So they visited us. Let me just rewind a little bit. The systems that they have installed for hot chains in Peru were not adequate for us because we do not work in the same way. So they had to design a complete new system for us, which they came and they did it for us. This was the result. So you can see, firstly, this jaggedness that you can see, even here where there's no lunch, is a result of bad optimization, because sometimes you have queuing, sometimes you have hanging, and means you don't utilize the equipment properly. You get this jagged slope. But this slope is like a ruler and very slight. If you look very carefully, you can see there's almost no reduction in production over these periods. And shift chains is also significantly better. So this is how the system is running now after MindSense has developed this system for us, which resulted in huge benefits, as you will see in our before-after study. Now, before I continue, I just want to share this study has been made over the same period in the year before than the current year. Kumtor is a very seasonal mine. For instance, during the winter, they will not haul any ore out of the pit. It's only waste. The roads are a little bit better because everything is frozen and we have really bad road material. In the winter, in the summer times, it's soft. They struggle to travel, and it's not a apples to apples comparison by just merely using any period. So we used exactly the same 4 months for this study in the previous year than the current year. And here's what are different for your benefit. We had a cycle of about 8.1 kilometer on average before, and 8.8 on the new study with MindSense, and we had a 9.2 difference in that. Speed is a little bit up because we had some initiatives where we got operators to drive better training and so forth. So average speed is up by about 3.3%. And our learning time is better because of blasting initiatives where we have better fragmentation. So you can see that we brought it down from 2.8 to about 2.6 minutes per load. So one of the things that is really the most important is we have achieved our goal with our PDS. When we had the previous system, in that 4-month period, we had 3 equipment incidents. And the same period with MindSense, we had 0. Now, what is not mentioned here is that since we implemented MindSense in 2018, touch wood, we have not had any on-equipment collisions until today. And that's now going for the best part of 3 years. So a really great achievement. Our shovel hang time has improved by that. Now, you know, when you have a bit longer distance, you generally increase your hang time and you decrease the queue time. But in our case, we decreased both. And I'll explain how that works. Is better optimization means that you don't have trucks hanging, shovels hanging and trucks queuing at the same time anymore because of decent optimization. Full empty ratio is a KPI we use to see how well we optimize. So if you take the empty, the distance traveled divided by the full distance traveled, then you get a factor, and this is the factor we use. And previously we had about 1.05. With MindSense, we had a whopping 1.02, which I didn't even think was possible, but we achieved it. And that shows us how good the optimization for MineSense is working. The other thing that we looked at is TKPH. Previously, we had an average about 1140 TKPH. Afterwards, we had 1236, an improvement of almost 11%. If we normalized it to account for this speed here, so in other words, if we were traveling at 18.7, we would still have where's the speed? This one. We will still have more TKPH. So it's not speed that made us do better. If we normalize the loading time, so we basically have a decrease for cycle and so forth, we still have done better. And if we normalize it all completely, we still show a 6.8%. So utilization is up, and obviously you can see why we utilize our equipment better. From the previous slide is that we do our shift change. We utilize equipment much better over shift change and over breaks. And other things that I didn't bother calculating is about 3.2% improvement. So here you can see a waterfall graph to show where the tons has been allocated in order to achieve what we achieve nowadays. So the year when we started, we were doing 531, so it's about 530,000 tons a day. And in 2009, we do more than 550. Of 19, we do more than 550 tons a day. And this is how it's allocated. Due to utilization, we do about 23,000 tons more. Due to speed, because they are now traveling faster, we do about 21,000 tons more. Loading is about 3,000 tons per day. And other things, which is in that 3% that you saw, there's about 24,000 tons. And we allocate basically utilization and half of this allocation to MineSense. The other thing that is led to losses was because our distance are further, we produce about 51,000 tons more. And regardless of this, we were still producing more than we were producing there. So in summary, just in close off, and this is something we probably would never have done with, if we had the previous system, purely due to cost and lifetime. But with MineSense as our partners, that has provided us with great support and assistance, we got their trust. They got our trust. And this is why we have started doing additional projects that helped us a lot. And let me explain. So since we used the system in 2018, we had no issues. 24/7 emergency support is second to none. I cannot recall a single time where we could not get hold of support. Not a single time. Where previously it was sometimes non-existent to get support, and a lot of excuses, where we never get any excuses. Even if we ask them something that's not related to the system, they don't blow us off. They will still try and provide us with assistance. Since implementation, we had no issues with the field equipment. They're extremely robust and stable, and rightly so, because they are using Android as an operating system, and they're using off-shelf hardware inside the systems that are stable. It's really good equipment. Because of this impeccable performance we had with the system, and this is what we've been doing the past 3 years. So we fitted, after the first trial, 5 additional shovels, or 5 shovels with HPGPS. The year after, we wanted to fit the remaining shovels with HPGPS, but due to a project from planning where we are not holding any ore, but only revealing ore, so it was only waste, we decided let's do the auxiliary equipment with the budget that year, and then move the HPGPS out. So we fitted the whole fleet with MineSense, and now we have PDS on all of them. So everybody can see everyone in the fleet. That being said, after we fitted the auxiliary equipment, we basically have almost 200 equipment with MineSense, and we still have no issues with communications or with the server's capability to deal with this. And now, this year, we started fitting HPGPS shovels, for HPGPS on the remaining shovels. Now, unfortunately, because of the COVID-19, that has gone on a halt a bit, but we have already received these units, but they will be installed this year. Our future plans is fatigue monitoring. So we will try and manage our fatigue of our operators with that utility that MineSense offer. And then advanced PDS is something that we also look at for. And advanced PDS includes the ability to do peer-to-peer communications and radars and etc. Even for objects on the road that does not have systems, then becomes visible to the operator. Although, touch wood, we have not had any incidents since we deployed MineSense. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm now open for any questions or any things that you want to suggest. Thank you very much, Robert.
Muchas gracias, Pierre. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. Estamos también con Wilder Pando. Wilder, ¿estás para la ronda de preguntas? Creo que tuviste un problema en la conexión.
Sí, no sé qué tal me escuchas. Estoy con mi teléfono en Cajamarca. Pierre está en Australia. ¿Qué tal?
No, sí, se escucha fuerte y claro. Vamos con las preguntas. Wilder, gracias. Pierre, muchas gracias nuevamente. Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting. I have a question for you guys. Tengo una pregunta para ustedes dos, Wilder. Si es que se conoce, pero acá Edu nos comenta, si es que se conoce otros criterios para que otras compañías puedan utilizar para cambiar un sistema de gestión de flota. Por ejemplo, se dijo que para Kumtor había importantes temas de seguridad y productividad de equipo. ¿Qué otros criterios ustedes sugerirían? Wilder o quizás Pierre?
Okay, Pierre, thanks for your presentation. It was a really good one and useful. And basically, it's an authority that you have a lot of experience in the fleet management system. Okay, the first question is for you or for me is basically what kind of another criteria is possible to have to think about to change the actual fleet management system. For Kumtor, the safety was the key parameter, but do you suggest another one, please?
No, good question. You are correct. We have replaced the system due to the requirement for an affordable PDS system, of which the basic system was included in the MineSense system. For Kumtor, basically, these things were were the drivers, and the number one was safety. And associated with safety is also the fact that the operator doesn't have to press any buttons. So we can have accurately measured 11 cycle events without relying on the operator to touch the screen. So he can focus on just driving the road, and the data is not contaminated. So the other thing that was very important to us and was kind of a bit of hard to assess was the quality and level of support from the vendor. Now, visiting HUDPay obviously gave us some peace of mind there, and I would suggest that if anyone wants to change their system, to do their homework on this. So the system is also technologically advanced, and we were really happy with the fact that they were using industry standard and proven software such as Android. And the other thing that contributed a lot to our decision was the ongoing cost and expandability of the system.
Okay, Pierre, thanks. But I think you summarized the benefits. And example, what about the capital? Can you mention something about that, please?
Yes. Changing an FNS system, contrary to popular belief, can be quite cost effective in the long term. So once the return on investment has been determined, that period that you take to get the full return of investment according to your calculation, you can then look at the life of mine and see whether that will still suit your plans of replacing the system. So what I would suggest that is very important to assess is the total cost over a period of 7 years, a minimum 5, one would also ensure an agreement is in place with the vendor to honor that quote, because they will give you a quote. The reason for this is to eliminate the fact that vendors will offer you a free system at a low initial capital or a low cost base where it's not expensive. But once the system is deployed, you're at the mercy of the vendor, and they can introduce some really expensive ongoing annual costs. For us, the new system has contributed significantly to reduction of cost per ton, which basically resulted in a longer life of mine. So it was quite beneficial for us. Also, do the homework on the stability and robustness of systems. Don't just rely on the sales talk. Go and call people randomly across mines and talk to different people and make sure that you are happy with what they are selling you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Richard, vamos a sumarizar a todos. Gracias. Thanks, Pierre. Bueno, la primera parte ha hablado bastante de los beneficios que ellos han utilizado, han considerado y han evaluado. Por ejemplo, mencionó Constancia. Ellos fueron a Constancia y revisaron todo lo que se les dijo, lo revisaron. Hablaron bastante con Constancia y luego nos pidieron tener comunicación con otros clientes, ¿no? Luego, bueno, y obviamente ha reforzado bastante el tema de productividad, reducción de costos y todo. Luego le clarifiqué un poquito sobre el tema de capital, porque fue una discusión que siempre tuvimos con la gente de Kirguistán, ¿no? Y es básicamente lo que él sugiere, es no solo, obviamente ellos lo vieron por seguridad, pero también un factor importante fue el tema de capital, ¿no? Y lo que él sugiere es hacer un flujo de caja, bueno, para 7 años, mínimo para 5 años, y que obviamente lo que se está considerando para cambiar se ajuste exactamente a lo que uno quiere y que está asociado a lo que se busca en los planes de minado, ¿no? Bueno, y él luego lo que él menciona es de que algunos vienen y te venden el sistema, pero no te dicen, inclusive te lo dan gratis, pero luego cuando uno hace el flujo de caja operativo del sistema, te sale muy caro, ¿no? Entonces hay que revisar siempre no solo la parte inicial del capital o la primera parte, sino todo en un periodo de 5 años a más. Okay, y la última parte que él mencionó fue que obviamente ellos han reducido, o sea, esta inversión de capital ha hecho de que el flujo de caja sea positivo, y como han reducido costos, bueno, no mencioné el porcentaje, pero como han reducido los costos operativos, eso ha hecho que su life of mine se incremente un poco, ¿no? Tenían 7 años, creo que ahora tienen hasta 10 o 12 años, está por que nos confirmen, pero básicamente eso resume a la respuesta a tu pregunta, Richard, y bueno, a todos, ¿no?
Gracias. Gracias, Pierre. Acá tenemos otra pregunta de Luis Larota. Para ustedes, por favor, for YouTube, guys. Bueno, mi pregunta son las siguientes. Específicamente, ¿cómo redujeron las colas y las esperas? ¿Y en qué sentido colaboró el software de MindSense?
Okay, what kind of process or procedures did you follow to achieve the good benefits in terms of queue and hang balance? According to your presentation, is some reduction in queue, reduction in hang, and what is the impact or what is the benefit from the fleet management system?
Okay, queuing and hanging is sometimes a lot of miscalculated, if I put it this way, or it's used to misrepresent the real problem. You can go and have an average of queue and an average of hang over the whole shift, but it doesn't tell you much. What you need to try and see is how many times those things happen together. When they happen together, that means that you have misassigned or you have an unbalanced fleet. And for us at Kumtor, we monitor that every 10 minutes and we look at how we can minimize it. With the system, if we run fully unlocked, we generally don't have any issues with it. The other thing also about eliminating hanging queue is people will try and say, okay, we've got too much queuing, we need to park some trucks. And there might be benefit to that. And also the opposite, we have too much hanging, let's stop some shovels. But you must be very careful in doing that because you can potentially park too many. So what we do is we implemented a KPI for those where we measure how many trucks are parked, for instance, and if there are shovels hanging that basically could have loaded one of those parked trucks, we generate a penalty for that KPI, and we can measure whether we park too many. There's a fine balance in parking too many and parking just right. So basically, optimization, I think, is the best way to eliminate this.
And what is the, can you mention something about the algorithm? Because I am assuming that the algorithm also make his job.
Yes, when you look at the general algorithm, people will, or the systems generally would create a assignment at the dump when the truck leaves, and then some systems, and maybe not all of them, will have a beacon closer to the cluster of shovels that will then allow a different assignment only for that cluster. So if the assignment was incorrect in the past, then obviously there's not much what you can do. You can just improve that cluster a little bit. But with MindSense, we've found there's multiple or millions of simulations. It runs all the time. Ensures that the right decisions are made all the time, right from the dump, even before the guy dumps. And we assign them to the right cluster. So unless something happens, like for instance, a shovel goes down, we can potentially have that truck assigned to the right cluster to improve the balance because of this algorithm that MindSense offer.
Okay. Thanks, Pierre. Richard, bueno, para todos, la primera parte ha mencionado de que hay que, en resumen, es colocar KPIs dedicados para cuando hay que parar camiones y cuando hay que tomar una decisión, por ejemplo, de palas, ¿no? Cuando el hang está subiendo y ellos cada muy corto tiempo están revisando el balance. No es solamente revisar el promedio de la guardia, ¿no? Sino hay que revisar, ellos cada 10 minutos van revisando y van viendo las mejores opciones, y hay que tener mucho cuidado a la hora de definir los KPIs de Q-Hang. Bueno, en el webinar anterior se habló de cómo definir estos indicadores. Nosotros hemos ayudado bastante en eso. Y la segunda parte es el algoritmo. Sí ayuda bastante para las condiciones que ellos tienen, porque tienen ciclos no lineales. ¿Qué quiere decir? Que hay una pala, un camión puede llevar de la pala, descarga, puede hacer un viaje corto ahí en el stockpile y regresar a otra pala, y antes no tenían esa opción, y eso no ayudaba mucho al algoritmo, ¿no? Bueno, y aparte, no lo he mencionado, pero los algoritmos que se tienen ahora para lo que es cambio guardia y refrigerio les ayudan bastante, y lo mencionó ahí en la presentación, ¿no? Entonces, básicamente eso resume lo que indicó Pierre. Hay más detalle ahí de por medio, pero para poder cumplir con todas las preguntas, sigamos adelante, Richard.
Conforme, Wilder. Gracias. Gracias, Luis, por la pregunta. Tenemos otra pregunta aquí de Julio Torres. Nos indica cuáles fueron los puntos claves para lograr los resultados mostrados, exceptuando la nueva tecnología que traen con MindSense for Miners. Wilder, Pierre.
¿Exceptuando, dice Richard?
Sí, exceptuando fuera de la nueva tecnología, ¿cuál considera Pierre que han sido los puntos claves para lograr los trabajos mostrados?
Pierre, in your presentation is a different kind of good improvements in the mind. Is assuming that basically what type of benefits do you consider that are outside that MindSense? I think it's more. I think it's more speed and other stuff. Can you clarify that, please?
Yes. It is always good to assess everything. When we had this improvements, we also did have a CAP team, what we call a CAP team, to investigate alternate options of improving production. Now, although we had a huge impact from MindSense, you are right. It's not everything MindSense. There was a lot of external factors, and that includes road maintenance to increase the speeds and operator training. And we also did a lot of scientific investigation on blasting methods, drilling methods, patterns, and so forth to improve the fragmentation. That gave us the faster loading times because they can load easier. The utilization is not only MindSense. There are a few little things that we did to improve that as well. With the method we do shift change, although we use MindSense as the tool, there is still a lot in the background that we also had to do. For instance, the movement of personnel and operators between park cups and the scattering of those things. Now, MindSense makes it extremely easy for us to do, but a lot of that has been done also by people, not necessarily MindSense. That has helped us with that.
Okay, maybe I will explain something about the history. Remember, before you, I was there and all that stuff. I will try to explain that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, la pregunta de Julio es interesante porque tiene razón. Hay muchas partes que se preparó para hacer el gran cambio, ¿no? Yo visité el 2016 Kumtor y se hicieron bastantes, como una especie de auditoría y se implementaron bastantes procesos. Luego, en el 2017, estuvimos siguiendo avanzando con todos los procesos que son mejora de rutas, seguimiento de los operadores durante los segmentos de las rutas, y obviamente en algún momento la limitante que ellos iban encontrando a las diferentes sugerencias de mejorar en campo eran el sistema de administración de flota. Entonces, cuando se cambió, se implementaron muchas cosas, ¿no? Se implementó, por ejemplo, el seguimiento de la ruta con la marcha, el tema de seguridad para que los operadores salgan rápido y no estén presionando los botones. O sea, se hicieron muchas cosas, ¿no? Entonces, lo que menciona Pierre es, hay una parte que es del algoritmo, efectivamente, y la otra parte, obviamente, lo que él indica de la utilización, por ejemplo, es bastante seguimiento de la gente. O sea, para que haya un cambio, no todo es un sistema de administración de flota, ¿no? Tiene que haber la gente, las personas son los encargados de hacer ese gran cambio, ¿no? Entonces, Kumtor hizo su cambio y obviamente fue muy positivo en todo el sentido de la palabra, ¿no?
Conforme, Wilder. Sí, precisamente eso es lo que también agradecerle a Julio, porque es una pregunta muy, a pesar de ser muy corta, muy breve, concentra mucho en realidad, ¿no? Y precisamente el aporte del personal es bastante clave, ¿no? No todo es tecnología. Tengo una última pregunta que nos dice Joana. Nos dice, Kumtor ha mejorado la productividad y tiene una mejor producción. Por ende, desde que se decidió cambiar el sistema de gestión de flota, como se ha mostrado en la presentación, obtuvo también un mejor factor de dilución con el sistema de alta precisión de MindSense, o solamente mejoró la productividad de los equipos.
Ok, gracias. Pierre, you mentioned a lot of improvements in terms of productivity. What about the dilution in terms of to manage the parameters of polygons between ore and waste, or to achieve the polygon? Understand me?
Yes. Now, I know there's a dilution factor. Unfortunately, I do not know that, but I can definitely testify about the benefits we had with it. So we are using HPGPS to maintain floor levels accurately. And that is not only for ore, it's also for waste. That prevents us from digging under into the below polygon or under digging the top polygon, which dilutes the quality as well, or the calculation at least. So we ensure that operators dig inside the polygons from all sides, thus preventing the dilution and inaccurate measure of ore quality. Another one that's very important to us was misdirected loads, because if the shovel operator do dig some waste while he's digging ore, the system knows about it and will send that shovel, that truck, to the waste dump instead of to the crusher, and vice versa. So HPGPS assists us a lot to eliminate these types of losses. It also allows us for the use of the block model and to manage the stockpile much better. However, we have not started to use that functionality yet. The other thing is shovel can dig inside a polygon even if the visibility is low, such as caused by dust where they cannot see the flags and the lines, or at nighttime. The lines on site on the screen show them exactly where they dig. There's a little dot onto the bucket that are 10 centimeter accurate that shows them where they are digging, and they can maintain that block, not exceeding it, which means our inventory is also much better reconciled. And the other thing that helps us, and we use HPGPS for that, is the full bidirectional interfacing to the planning system. So we import all the blocks and qualities and so forth from the planning system, and then we provide backwards the volumes based on our declines and so forth, so that they can have that information every day, so we can minimize the additional work and also the frequency of surveying the areas.
Okay, Pierre, thanks. Para clarificar un poco, definitivamente ha habido una mejora en la dilución. El sistema de alta precisión fue instalado y un poco para que sepan, en Kumtor en esta temporada tienen menos 40, menos 45 grados afuera o sea, y es bien complicado que vaya, como hay acá sucede en muchas minas, en todas las minas de Open Pit, normalmente va el topógrafo y coloca las estacas, ¿no? Entonces allá en Kumtor a menos 40 grados es bien difícil que la gente salga a poner las estacas. Aparte que si tiene el polvo y la nieve que empieza, bueno, la primera parte de la mañana y en la noche, casi toda la noche, empieza a haber bastante nieve. O cuando logras poner las estacas y viene la nieve y te tapa todo, entonces es bien complicado para aquellos antes que manejan la dilución. Ahora con el sistema, como se tiene 3D es una precisión 3D en el bucket, eso les ha ayudado para que los operadores puedan ver exactamente qué polígono están minando. Y obviamente mencionó que hay una mejora entre el input que nosotros sacamos de planeamiento y se entrega planeamiento a los declines en tiempo real, y eso hace que se tenga un ida y vuelta con planeamiento más la importación del modelo de bloques. Están ahorita usando la función para llenar los stockpiles basado en la posición GPS de los camiones, más la información de los bloques que vienen de la mina, pero todavía no están usándolo el modo de stockpile para empezar a llenar a la chancadora. Ellos tienen un minado estacional, ¿no? Ellos sacan mucho tiempo el oro y lo almacenan, claro, ellos minan oro, el mineral lo almacenan y luego en la época de invierno solo abastecen mineral. Entonces, para la época de invierno ellos van a empezar a utilizar ya los módulos de información de que se generó en los stockpiles basado en la descarga de los camiones. Entonces, nosotros generamos unos bloques geológicos basados en la información de la descarga del camión y ellos lo van a usar ya para la época de invierno, ¿no? Básicamente es eso y creo que ahí para agradecerle a Pierre, me avisa Richard, bueno, y gracias a todos por estar presentes.
Sí, muchas gracias. Era precisamente la última pregunta. Gracias, Wilder, por la predisposición. Muchas gracias, Pierre. Thanks a lot, Pierre. It was very educational. Pierre?
Thank you very
Are you
much.
still there?
Yes, I just had my computer muted. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me to be here. If anyone does have some questions, they can just email you and you can send it to me. I'm very happy to answer them through emails as well if required.
Thanks again, Pierre. Thanks again. Muchas gracias, Wilder.
No, gracias a ustedes, gracias a todos por participar. Cada vez tratando de mejorar los webinars. Estamos recién empezando a tener experiencia en esto. Bueno, vamos a seguir con algunos webinars. Si tienen sugerencias, qué cosa les gustó, no les gustó, por favor, nos hacen alcanzar a nuestros correos que los van a encontrar en la invitación. Y bueno, gracias por su tiempo. Estamos para apoyarlos.
Muchas gracias, Wilder. Antes de despedirnos, aprovecho en recordarles que las publicaciones de las grabaciones de este y de los anteriores videos se encuentra disponible en nuestro portal, en Solo tienen que suscribirse para recibir una copia de la grabación que está en el portal. Gracias a todos y que tengan muy buenas noches.